Before we begin, the usual stuff. If you enjoy my content and you want to keep being notified when I post it, YouTube might not favor me for much longer, or they might not have already, who knows. So go ahead and subscribe so that you are notified when I post stuff. As well as I keep getting a lot of questions asking about when I'm going to announce the winner of the quote-unquote share away, and it's probably going to be sometime next week because I don't want to do it too early, so that way as many people can watch and enter that as possible. And I also got a few questions as to how I'm actually picking the winner, and I'm doing that through a website called Comment Picker something or other. You can find it on Google, and it will be completely random. As for how I'll contact the winner, I'll specifically say in the title of the video when I'm announcing it. Hopefully whoever wins can reach out to me on Discord, and if they can't, then I'm sure we can find another way to work it out, as well as I'll reply to their comment. With that out of the way, let's begin. Alrighty, Star Platinum. What an absolute powerhouse of a stand, and an old one at that. Star Platinum surprises me to this day because most of the older stands in this game are either complete garbage or they feel incomplete, and Star Platinum is neither of those. It's a very good all-around stand, feels relatively well balanced while also feeling powerful. Star Platinum in general is just good, and I feel like that metric doesn't really apply to a lot of the stands in YBA. You either have a stand that's incredibly busted overpowered, or it's garbage. And the kind of good in between seemingly doesn't really apply to too many stands. It's not that it doesn't exist at all, it's just rare. It's one of the reasons why when people ask me to make a tier list, I don't really know what to do about the mid-tier because of how polarizing stands tend to be. But I think I'm getting off topic here. This is usually stuff I save for the conclusion. So let's jump into the moveset for Star Platinum. As for moves, Star Platinum has access to two of the best stuns in the entire game. Star Finger, a long-range stun that does decent damage, and Inhale, a stun that doesn't do any damage but lets you act while it's active. Star Platinum also has access to a Kick Barrage, which is decent but can be fairly easily avoided, a Time Skip and a Stand Jump that I forgot to record in this video, a Rage Mode, which is extremely powerful as it reduces the incoming damage you take and increases the outgoing damage that you deal, and a Time Stop, which eats up whatever's left of your rage bar and drains it completely. Interesting note about the time stop that I didn't mention in my The World video is that the time stop is the same length regardless of how much rage you have. So if you use it with a sliver left of rage, it will still go for the maximum amount of time. I think this is likely a bug, but frankly, I have no idea. With the moveset covered, I think we can move into strategies. When it comes to strategies for Star Platinum, I don't think it comes as a surprise to anyone that your game plan revolves basically entirely around Star Finger and Inhale. These two moves are incredibly good and carry this stand hardcore. The fact that Star Finger and Inhale directly combo into each other is incredibly strong, because while you're inhaling people, you can click them, which does an absurd amount of damage, especially if you have Rage Mode active during it. Since Inhale has a relatively long cooldown though, sometimes you'll be landing Star Fingers and then not knowing exactly what to do with the stun. So what I would suggest to you, if you're using Haman like me, if you're close enough, you can get a Zoom Punch off, which will help your damage a little bit, and then try to go for some clicks and maybe a block break read. But if that doesn't play out, honestly, the Star Finger damage itself isn't too bad, so don't try to overcommit and screw yourself over. I'm guilty of doing this all the time, where I feel like I need to confirm something off of my Star Finger, so I'll end up taking way more damage than I feel like I need to. The thing about Star Platinum is that it's a very, very unga-bunga, run in there and press a bunch of buttons to get damage. And so it heavily encourages you to just hold forward and press buttons, but unfortunately, a lot of the time, this can just get you killed, as the current meta of YBA is not Unga Bunga hold forward, it's run away and chuck projectiles. So if you are going up against a projectile stand, you need to be patient and recognize that if you're too far away from your opponent when you land Star Finger, you're not going to get any confirms off of it. And all chasing after them is going to do is get you hit in the long run. As for what you can get off of Inhale, you can usually get 3, maybe 4 clicks, and then go into a Kick Barrage to get some extra damage. If they have a time skip stand, then they're probably going to time skip out of the last hit if they're any good. And if they have a counter, I highly recommend you either try putting your stand away and dashing backwards, or turning the kick around before the final hit comes out, as they're almost certainly going to use the counter at the end of your kick barrage. Sometimes I would almost recommend just not using the kick barrage against these counter stands, as it's not really worth the small amount of damage you get, because if they land that counter, they're doing way more damage to you than you would have gotten off of that final hit. As for stand jump, I said that I didn't record footage for it, but in truth, I never even get stand jump. I don't think it's super necessary unless you need to run away, and I'm usually playing with friends for the most part, so I don't need to run away, or I'm playing 1v1s or 2v2s where that's not an option. Stand jump is a powerful tool to get away from opponents, but other than that, it serves very little purpose. Now we get onto the topic of the Rage Bar, which is one of Star Platinum's best tools, hands down. Star Platinum's Rage Bar is incredibly powerful. People heavily underrate how strong Star Platinum's Rage Bar is. Combined with Haman defense and your rage active, you take very little damage while dishing out tons of it. When you get your rage, absolutely do not use your time stop immediately under no circumstances. Nothing Star Platinum can do in time stop is worth using up your entire rage bar. There is an interesting mechanic for Star Platinum though, and this also applies to the World and the World AU, where if you use your time stop immediately and then end the time stop as fast as you can, it eats a little bit of your rage bar, but it puts your time stop on cooldown, meaning you can time skip with rage active. And sometimes this is worth doing, sometimes it's not, as you do lose a pretty sizable chunk of rage, but being able to time skip with rage can be very powerful. Speaking of the time skip, something I also didn't cover is time skip dash Starfinger is really good unless you're going up against somebody that's actually competent at the game. Thankfully, YBA, for the most part, you will not be playing against people who are all that competent. So 99% of the time, you can get away with time skip dash Starfinger and net yourself easy stuns, combos, and kills. As for the time stop, you can use your time stop at the end of the rage to try to extend your combo, get a little bit of extra damage, or something a lot of people don't consider is use your time stop for the sake of denying other people's time stops. What a fairly sizable amount of people don't know about this game is that there's a global time stop cooldown. Have you ever tried to time stop after activating your rage and you time skip instead and you're like, wait, what the hell? Why did I do that? Why didn't it time stop? That's because there's a secret hidden timer activated when you get time stopped to make it so that you can't activate another time stop. This is to try to prevent you from getting chain TS'd and die immediately. I mean, you die immediately anyway because you're usually going to get one shot, but we already talked about that. Anyways, what I'm talking about is that if you're at the end of your rage bar, if your teammates aren't using TS stands, you should use your time stop just so that you can put those other TS stands in their time stop cooldown. This means that you can save your teammates potentially from other time stops. Now it works both ways. If your teammates are using TS stands, then obviously you're not going to want to be putting them on cooldown. But it is an interesting thing to think about while you're playing in squads. One last thing I want to mention before we move on to the conclusion is that I see a lot of people, far too many people, I'm assuming new players, that use barrage into kick barrage and get immediately parried. If you're a new player and you just got Star Platinum, understand that barrage into kick barrage is not a combo. It is never going to work, you're almost always going to get parried, and throwing this out is just all around not even remotely worth it. So don't do it. There are basically no confirms off of barrage right now. So when you get a barrage, try to click them and you can get at least one click, and that's about it for the most part. Going for any more is greedy and will probably just get you punished. But like I said, I'm wrapping up here, so let's move on to the conclusion, and I just want to have a sit down chat about how I feel about Star Platinum. So this video is going to come out, and I think there are going to be a lot of people that are disappointed on my take on it, because every single person practically anywhere that suggested this to me has been like, complain about how Star Platinum's broken. Star Platinum, it's so overpowered. They really need to nerf Star Platinum. And frankly, I'm not one of those people. I meme around with my friends a lot and affectionately call Star Platinum Sweat Platinum because anyone still hanging on to this stand didn't get Star Platinum the world. And as funny of a joke as that is, I really don't think that this stand is quote-unquote overpowered. It's just not. The interesting thing about Star Platinum is that I feel almost like it's a baseline for how all the stands in the game should be. Here's the deal. Star Platinum is one of the only, if not the only stand in the entire game that has a bread and butter combo, which I'll be referring to as a BNB from here on, that doesn't require you to have any sort of spec. Basically, Star Platinum feels like an actual fighting game character as a stand. It has a BNB combo, a super move, and a meter, all things that are very prevalent in a lot of fighting games. The reason this is important is it means that Star Platinum has a reliable way of getting damage, a meter which he builds up over the fight which you need to manage, and a super which relies on the meter. Now obviously I don't think that every single stand should have a meter and a super move, although that would be pretty cool. But one thing that I think every stand should have is BNBs, and that would require the entire game to get a complete overhaul, which means obviously that won't happen. But the fact that Star Platinum can be used without a spec makes it unique to a lot of the other stands in the game, and frankly, that's not a good thing. That's actually one of the biggest problems I have with YBA, is the fact that specs are so heavily required on almost everything. I think every stand should be able to be played on at least a somewhat competent level without having the need for specs. And that's not how things work right now. If you use Star Platinum without a spec, you can get your BNB combo. You can do Starfinger, Inhale, 3 or 4 clicks, and a Kick Barrage. That's some free damage right there that you can get. Also, you can block the Starfinger, which means it's not some broken auto combo. And it has startup, so you can see it coming and block it. That's another thing that makes Star Platinum balanced that I think a lot of people don't consider. Why does nobody block Starfinger? Starfinger's got a pretty considerable amount of end lag on it, and if you block it, you can combo them for it. Despite this, seemingly nobody actually blocks this move, and I don't understand for the life of me why. It seems like a no-brainer. If you don't want to get stunned, block. But nope. People just get hit by this consistently, over and over again. I'll never understand. Well anyways, enough about my fighting game ramblings and wishes about YBA. The video's just about wrapped up now, but before I conclude, I want to do 2 things. First of all, shoutouts to the people in my live streams that have been playing with me relatively regularly on YBA and Troublesome Battlegrounds. I used the background footage from those streams in the current video and some of the upcoming videos. So if you want to be in any of these videos or have a chance to be in any of these videos, you can hop on down to my streams. I also played Dark Souls last night. It was a complete disaster, and the VOD is up on the channel if you want to watch me suffer. And finally, speaking of those streams, most of you know about my hatred of Six Pistols, and in one of my matches, my teammate decided to play Six Pistols. So why don't we tune in to see how that match went? Oh my... Nope. Come on, come back here. Where are you going? Yeah, get him. No. You don't get to do that. No. I told you. I gave you fair warning this would happen. You can't say I didn't warn you. Come on, just accept your fate. It's over. You're done. That's a wrap. Good games. Don't you ever think that I'm gonna team with a 6 fucking pistols.